Chickens have been by our side through war, through famine, through natural disaster, and that was all before the invention of chicken feed. Today we're going to talk about what to do if you run out of chicken feed, either temporarily or permanently. You're going to be just fine, so let's talk about it. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. Monkey, you don't want to run out of feed. I don't even have to feed you much. You eat about a teaspoon of food a day. Oh, I love you so much. You're a good girl. I'm gonna put you down. I don't consider myself like a prepper. It's not because I think there's anything wrong with that. I don't have any judgment about that at all. It's just sheer laziness. That's why I'm not prepared. That's what's gonna get me in the end. But despite that, I think it is really good, especially in these times that we're in today, to have a contingency plan, because a lot of the world and even many people here in the United States are in a state of uncertainty, and I don't like that. I want you to feel secure, especially if you have chickens. I want you to feel confident that your chickens are going to be something that is helpful to you through anything and not something that is causing further stress for you. I think this video will be helpful to you even if you're not in any kind of situation financially, because if you happen to run out of chicken feed and for whatever reason you can't get more chicken feed that day, there are things that you can do that you will learn today that will help you get through that and will just give you the confidence to know what to do in case that happens. Before we move on, I want to show you my super cute tumbler. I'm so into like Care Bears lately. I even have a pair of Care Bear shoes right now. You know, you gotta do what I'm Gen X, okay? Today I am drinking the Relight electrolytes, the orange flavor. It's a limited edition, and I mixed it with carbonated water, and I swear to you, it tastes like Fanta. And I mean, maybe it's because I haven't had like actual soda in 20 years. I just don't drink sugary soda. I haven't done that in a long time. But this is like such a special treat for me, and it's really good for you. No matter what's happening in the world, you need to be hydrated, okay? Especially if you're getting older, you need to hydrate. I do want to tell you, one of my chickens was trying to steal this earlier. She was trying to get a sip. I didn't let her. Isn't that right? Anyway, if you get a chance, check the link in the description. There's so many great real salt products. I have so much salt. I'm never gonna run out of salt. I am a prepper when it comes to salt. So if you run out of chicken feed, I want you to think about what chickens have done for literally millennia, and that's thousands of years. The thousands of years that chickens have been domesticated by humans. For most of that time, chickens have ate what we have wasted. So let's say you have a meal and you have some scraps left over from that meal. You come out and you give it to your chickens, and that's what they eat, and then the rest of their diet is up to them. They can peck and scratch for bugs or whatever foliage they can get their hands on, and that was what chickens did for a really long time. It's what my great-grandmother's chickens did. It's probably what my grandmother's chickens did. Chicken feed is a relatively new invention. This video is not to talk bad about chicken feed. One of the things that I teach in my book and in my online course is that for production breeds especially, it is the best case scenario for them to have a base layer of whatever feed is appropriate for their stage of life. So, you know, for layer hens, they should have layer feed. For baby chicks, they should have starter feed. The reason that I teach that is because ultimately the chickens that we have today have really high nutritional needs, especially production breeds. They have been bred to lay lots and lots of eggs, and because of that, they have a need for some really targeted nutrition. Now, that doesn't mean that if you can't give your chickens a base layer of layer feed, that you're doing it wrong, or that your chickens are gonna die, or they're gonna really suffer. Any chicken not in a factory farm is better. So if what you can do is give your chickens kitchen scraps and have them forage for the rest or do some other things that I'm going to talk about today, then I think that is miles above having chickens have so much chicken feed to their heart content, but they live in a factory farm. That is no way for them to live, and it's not good for human beings either. So that's why I don't say if you're not giving your chickens chicken feed, you're doing it wrong. I absolutely don't believe that. I just don't. So there's something that I want to address because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about what you can and can't feed chickens when it comes to your kitchen scraps. Basically, what I want you to remember is that chickens are omnivores. If you're eating healthy, then more times than not, whatever you eat, you can give to your chickens. I don't want you to worry about a little bit of onion in the chicken feed. I don't want you to worry about certainly a little bit of garlic in the chicken feed or a little bit of citrus in the chicken feed. There's a lot of information out there that is kind of alarmist when it comes to what you can feed to your chickens. And that information doesn't come from nowhere, but it has been kind of changed and morphed into something that is a much bigger problem, or is presented as a much bigger problem than it really is. If you have some meal that has a little bit of onion in it, that's not going to kill your chickens. If you have a meal that has a little bit of citrus in it or some avocado flesh in it, that's not going to kill your chickens. When it comes to onions, chickens really have to eat a lot of it in order to be affected from it. And that is true for garlic too. Like if they eat a lot of garlic, they could be affected from it. They could get anemic from that. But to feed your chickens that much garlic, like you would really have to intentionally do that. It would be not something that would happen just feeding your chickens in moderation. That's just not something that would happen. So I don't want you to worry about that. And the other thing I want you to remember is that, especially when it comes to garlic, when it's given at a certain dose, it is very therapeutic for chickens. And then if you give it way beyond that dose, it could be bad for chickens. But that's true for so many things. I've even heard people say don't give apples to chickens because they're worried about the seeds having a toxin in them that could hurt them. The chickens would have to eat so many apple seeds at once in order for that to have a negative effect on them. Whenever you find yourself worrying about that, just think about how chickens have lived in symbiosis with humans on their farms for a really long time. If you're eating a solid diet of just like hot Takis and Hostess ding dongs, eventually that's gonna catch up to you and your chickens. So there you go. Oh, obviously, coffee, caffeine, alcohol, don't give those to your chickens. Not good for them, okay? So if your flock has access to pasture and you're giving them kitchen scraps, that is very likely enough to sustain them, and they will be absolutely fine, especially if the weather permits them finding bugs and foliage in their natural environment. But I know a lot of you don't have land, and a lot of your flocks out there don't have access to pasture. If that's the case for you and you really feel like the scraps that you're giving your chickens is not enough to sustain them, then what you can do is consider going to your local grocery store, going to the produce section, or asking the manager if they would consider giving you any leftover produce that is not good enough to sell to the public, but that they could give you either for very, very cheap or for free. And you can do that at the grocery store. You can sometimes do that at farmers markets, like when the farmers market is closing. Sometimes vendors will have produce for very, very cheap or free. And the other thing I want to tell you about is in my town, there are about 10,000 breweries. Okay, maybe not that many, but there are so many. I'm like, why do we need this many breweries? It's like, I don't know, it's a Pacific Northwest thing. But anyway, there's a ton of them, and breweries have spent grains that are left over from the brewing process. And sometimes they will give those away, sometimes they will sell it. A lot of this is just a matter of, asking and finding out what could be available to you. So just remember that with a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of getting the courage to go up and ask people things, you can definitely feed your flock not only well, but really well. You guys know that I adopted a special needs duck. His name is Baby Ivar. He's right here, he's sleeping, and he's doing great. He's huge, and he's doing great. How are you doing, Baby Ivar? I don't want to disturb him, but he's doing great. I just thought I would give you guys an update. All right, let's go outside and I'm gonna show you guys something in the yard. So right here, I have a weed in my yard and it is called narrowleaf plantain. I think it's also called mugwort plantain. That's like another name for it. And this is so good for chickens. I've been talking a lot about plantain recently. It is just so nutritionally dense for chickens and it's growing for free right in my yard. I also have over here something called self-heal. It is a medicinal herb that is growing all through my land. It's actually really pretty. Look at that. And this is also very good for chickens. What you can do is, even if you don't have access to land, you probably know somebody that has a yard that would be more than happy for you to weed their yard for them and get some food for your chickens. And if you're not sure if a weed is okay for your chickens or not, that is something where Google is so useful. And most of the time, the information is pretty good. If something's toxic, you can find it pretty quickly. There are apps as well where you can take a picture of a weed and it'll tell you whether or not it's toxic. Those things can be very useful for you. But this is amazing food for chickens. It's not just like cheap food. It is wonderful food for chickens. And even if you can feed your chickens a base layer of really good quality layer feed like I do, I feed like the highest quality feed on the market, I still give my chickens weeds because they're just so good for them. So I just wanted to take a moment and show you guys this. We really do live in times where there's a lot of uncertainty, and I just want everyone to feel like they're gonna be okay. And you know, it's naive of me to say, oh, everyone's gonna be okay. You know, that's just not how the world works. But if I can help people feel a little bit more secure in my little way with my chicken teaching, then I'm gonna do that. And I think, you know, if you follow these recommendations, you will actually really benefit from having chickens no matter what's going on in the world, because there's a reason why chickens have been by our side through all of history. Through war, through famine, through natural disaster. It's because they help us to survive. That's part of why they're here. We help them and they help us. I have a lot of videos on my channel about saving money, and so recently I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a whole playlist about it, all about saving money while keeping chickens. So guess what? It's on the screen right now. It's 100% friendly, backyard chickens, education, and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it. Monkey, are you gonna be with me through millennia? I hope so, because I love you. I love you.